Hi everyone, it is March 16th that I'm recording this. I'll have time to post this later today. So while this may potentially be a timeless reading, I do feel that at the time of me releasing this video, it's very important to get this channeled message specifically across to someone today. So the cards that fell out are saying exactly what I was feeling. How do I make sense of this is the issue that I'm personally having. And then I feel like that's relating to you as well. So I'm going to title this "The Devil is in the Details" because it does feel as if it's a multitude of things. Okay, I'm gonna paint this story that I'm seeing in my head. This could be really what's going on, or it's symbolic of something that you're experiencing in your life. So the details in the sense of a contractual agreement between you and, let's say, your current spouse, and an impending divorce, or a divorce that's been talked about, or a divorce that you've been entertaining in your mind, and how you're kind of getting caught up in the details of, well, if I do this now, what are the consequences further down the line? It doesn't make sense to me further down the line. If I release this, like a divorce and all of the exchanges that happen with our properties and all of this, how does that affect me further down the line if I don't want to let this go? And essentially, Spirit's coming through to say it's not about the details. Sometimes in order to receive what it is that you truly value, what it is that you truly want, what it is you're truly seeking, you have to let go of things. You have to let go and not be so concerned with what you're leaving behind. What is coming in for you, what's opening the door for you, what is available for you, those things have to be let go of. And it could also be serving as a lesson to you to see that even though things don't make sense, that is not your overall concern. Like, you shouldn't be so concerned with making sense of the details. The devil, being in the details, is trying to rationalize it. Spirit can be irrational because sometimes those beautiful gifts of our future are not for us to see, are not for us to understand, or we are maybe not at the spiritual maturity for us to receive that information in a way that it makes sense, or it hasn't fully materialized for it to make sense to us, or sometimes it's just not part of our path to have that make sense. And so where you're at now and trying to rationalize it is going to get you caught up in stagnancy. It's going to make you become more distressed and create more distressing circumstances that don't need to happen. And I've talked about this in a previous video, a pick a card reading, because this energy that I'm feeling has been building up since at least January of this year. It's March, so that's 3 months since this energy has been building at the very least. And from that moment, I did a pick a card reading and I mentioned it in that as well. It wasn't released until recently, but I remember specifically thinking about the energy that I'm still picking up on now, which is essentially the devil works through people, through the agency of people. You have to give the devil permission to work through you, and that can often come through distressing times that are just because of other people's choices, because of your lessons in life, because of just trying times that you're supposed to experience in order to evolve. But there's also the devil creating issues where there are no issues and trying to get you caught up in those issues and rationalizing it so that that devil can also come and pose as the savior in order to pull you away. And while that is all true, what is also true is God works through people as well. God works in miraculous intervention. God works through events that are beyond the scope of human workings, but he also works through people as well. And that means whether when you hearing that means, oh, well, then someone's going to come and say something to me, or someone's going to help me out, it also works through you. Sometimes you have to take the initiative to work things out. Sometimes you have to follow your inner compass, follow your intuition, follow the calling of spirit to say, I don't fully understand this, but I know in my heart, I know in my spirit that I need to do this. I need to move. I need to get this energy going. I need to essentially open the windows and the doors to your home and allow that fresh air to flow. Allow all of that dust and dander to get out of your home. Get it out. There's also this feeling of aggression from another individual. And this aggression is being highlighted to say, do not internalize other people's problems. Do not internalize their aggression. Do not add distress into your frequency that is being caused and the disruption in them. You have to choose to do the right thing. You have to make that decision to do what's right by yourself and by others. And also identifying where you need to forgive other people. And how you know you're forgiving other people is through your actions. That doesn't necessarily mean that your feelings have changed. You have to look at your actions, because feelings, they're showing me how all feelings are representations of this lower frequency or this lower awareness, in the sense of your spirit and your body trying to make sense and then project out what is happening in a human level, in like this world frequency, whatever this dimension is. So essentially, let's say passion and love and excitement, those are representations of how you feel, right? Those are actions based off of what you feel. You know, if you're hugging someone, but you can feel that love. In truth, love is not a frequency that is high up, because that represents polarity, because the opposite of love could potentially be just nothing. It's not really hate, I guess. Well, it's actually, people say it's nothing, but it's actually kind of hate, because it's the same thing. Neutralizing it would be like nothing. But anyway, but that's a representation of peace. Like a true love is peace. It's equilibrium. The energy is not going like that. It's peace. And so even with distress, anger, resentment, depression, all of these darker energies and how that manifests through another person, that is also a fluctuation of your mind and your body your consciousness trying to make sense of what it is that you're experiencing spiritually. And so they're basically saying to recognize that and to know that. And then from there, the practice of true forgiveness comes through your actions, because your feelings, your fluctuations, the way that you interpret things, and they're also pointing out it's also the way that the human body is trying to react and interpret what's happening, right? Because if someone hurts you, then you have a psychological and physiological response to that pain. And so that can also confuse the mind, because the mind is trying to interpret it. So you can't fully rely on your feelings alone. You have to also identify through your actions what it is that you're doing to align yourself to what it is that your goal is. So it's like doing the action before the feeling comes through fully, and identifying that can sometimes falter, that can sometimes not fully be reliable, we can connect that to what I was just saying about following your intuition, because the rationalizing part would be like, I feel this way, or this and this and this. But for those of you who really focus on your intuition versus feelings are different. You get what I'm saying? So anyway, let's see. I mean, before I grab this deck, this is what they use as like the front cover, and I knew this was gonna come out, so I'm just staring at this because when I'm recalling what I felt when I saw it and knew that it was going to come out, which was essentially, this is a representation of you, the goddess of the moon. This is a representation of you, in the sense that there's something from your past. I'm feeling you constantly going back to your past, constantly reflecting on your past, constantly thinking about your past. And the way that they're showing me is like the Titanic. The Titanic has sunk, and you are the explorer, searching and searching and searching around this beautiful relic that has so much history and so much pain and so much just mystery to what happened, and all the individual experiences of the people that were residing on the Titanic and lay to rest below the ocean floor. And you find a secret. You find this beautiful treasure that its significance is more valuable than its worldly value, whatever it would be appraised for. There's something, it's like that thing that you've been looking for. Every time you go back, it's like you just had this inner calling to keep going back to this relic, going back to the Titanic over and over and over again. And people are asking, why are you so obsessed with the Titanic? Why? And you're just like, I just feel called to do so. It feels like it makes sense. Like, I just have to do it. And then you find this treasure, and it all makes sense. It's like, this is what I knew I was meant to do this. I knew I was meant to keep exploring. And this holds all the answers, all the truth. And you feel at peace from identifying this treasure. You feel at peace because what you recognize in that moment is, I didn't know why I was doing what I was doing, but I knew I had to. And to finally discover what it is that was calling to me this entire time, I finally feel at ease. I finally feel at peace. It finally just feels like I understand the message. And I see a shift in you. I see a shift in your life. It's like you're right at that moment. It's like pen to paper, like talking about the devil in the details, and you looking over and looking over and looking over and looking for clarity and looking for answers and looking for changes, looking for adjustments, and then saying, you know what, just forget it. Signing it, taking a leap of faith, and then all of a sudden, it's like you're driving through a tunnel and you didn't even realize, like, you forgot that what it was like outside of this tunnel. You forgot even where you were going. You just knew you were driving this tunnel and it was taking forever. And suddenly you break out of the tunnel and it's this open field of wildflowers and it's gorgeous and there's streams, magical streams all around. And it just feels like, wow, I reached my destination. This is where I was supposed to be. This is where I belong, you know. This is my new home. This is where I reside. And there's a love. I'm seeing a love that comes in that is pure, that is gentle, that is ready. A love that's giving and feels lucky. Like you feel lucky, you feel blessed, you feel like you want to preserve this love because you cherish it. It's not because you're afraid that it'll go away. It's because you cherish it. It's because at one point at the beginning of the journey, it feels like you don't quite understand it, but you love it, you like it, you enjoy it. And so it's kind of like this feeling of putting it, you know, in a lockbox, or not in a lockbox, it would be like on display somewhere, and saying like, I want to know more about this. I want to take care of it. And feeling very honored to even have received it. And it's very different than where you were prior to this breakthrough. It's like you're being pushed past. It's like you already broke through. It's like if you were running a marathon and then, you know, they have the little ribbon and then you just kind of like don't go past the ribbon. So people are just like pushing you and then the ribbon breaks and you're like, I don't feel like it. I don't want to go past the ribbon, and you're just being pushed anyway. And so it's like you just have to, like, they're like, take the step, okay? You already broke the ribbon, just take the step because you already did it. And so all you have to do is take that step. And then it's official. And then everything that happens after that, like, whether you're in a daze or not, it's going to happen. And it's going to be beautiful. And, you know, you don't have control over that celebration. That's kind of the essence of what I'm getting. And so it's very different than how you were at the beginning of the race. It was difficult. It was hostile. It was aggressive. You had this long period where you were just hitting your stride, and you had visions of the future and potentially what could have occurred in the situation that you were in prior. So it's like hanging on to those ideas and wondering what happened, wondering what went wrong, wondering about all of these things. Like if you put in the scope of you know, a marathon, then it's like you thinking like, I shouldn't have eaten all that stuff I ate prior. I should have trained harder, or my feet hurt, or I'm like all of these issues where it's like all the things, and then thinking like, I could have been this, I could have been that, I could have done this. What was supposed to happen? Or, oh, if I would have just, you know, worked harder, then I could have been at a different marathon at this point. It's like and that's you hitting your stride. Like, that's just like the normal meditative space that you're in. And it's not a good place. And then just when you get to the finish line, you realize you're first. It's almost this feeling of like, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable. Like, I'm comfortable thinking and living and existing in all of those negative thought patterns. I don't want to pass the finish line. You know, I don't want to be first. And it's like, no, but you are. You are. And you deserve what it is that you truly want. Okay. You hold yourself back because there are some things that you need to forgive yourself for. And you're holding yourself bound by the things that you feel guilty over because how you've been, what you've done, maybe even the way that you've like acted out or retaliated. It's like, I just don't. I have more work to do, or I'm not deserving, or just all of these things where it's causing stress and anxiety in your life because you haven't quite mastered the art of self-forgiveness. And we go back to the forgiveness we talked about prior of forgiving others, and it's that choice to act in a way that is doing right by those people. And you have to do right by yourself. You have to allow yourself to grow. You have to allow yourself to see that you are unconditionally loved and worthy of love. Unconditionally. And you have to give yourself those opportunities to be treated kindly and fairly, and allow yourself to let people put their trust in you, and allow people to give to you and to honor you and to appreciate you. Sometimes the devil will work through you not only in your moments of inaction, but also those moments where you feel you are unworthy, or you feel you have to punish yourself, or you feel like you have to jump through hoops to be accepted, or to be loved, or to be enough. And the truth is, you are enough now. Your past does not, it does not have any agency over your future. Like, obviously, you know, there are real world consequences for things from your past, but that doesn't negate you from having a prosperous future. And that also includes right now, living in the now, accepting the now, loving you now, evolving and releasing those negative things now. You can, from this moment on, release it and move from a place of you know, a sanctified spirit. You can make that choice right now. So I'm going to end this here with this card, which is the Garden and the Gate. And what you can see here is this beautiful little girl standing outside of the gates and looking at these open fields. It's up to her whether or not she opens the gates and walks through it to this new world, this new experience, or open it in order to let people in. And I can already see now she's done so much work on her garden already. It's flourishing. There's so much life there, but there's no one equal to her. Like, there's no other humans there for her, or fairies, or whatever she is, to connect to. And who knows what's beyond those hills? Who knows who resides over there? If she doesn't explore, if she doesn't make that decision to open up, or she doesn't. I see she's wearing a key around her neck as well. It's the key to open up the gates. Like, no one can ever really get close to her until she decides to open the gates. And imagine all these beautiful flowers, even the ones she's collecting. It feels like it's a dream to her to share these flowers. They're like representations of her hard work, representations of her love, representations of everything that she believes in. And it's a fantasy to share this with someone who appreciates it and who understands like what work that goes into this. And even with these fields look like they've been plowed. And so to me, there's a commonality with someone beyond there that's different, right? They work differently because this is a farmer and she's a gardener, but it's still the same but different. So it's someone who could really relate, who could really connect, who could really understand, and could appreciate and help her achieve even greater gardens, you know, and mesh both different skills with each other so that they can do something revolutionary. Do something really revolutionary because they come from two different perspectives, but the similar backgrounds. And together, the expansiveness, because he seems to have a lot of money. That's a lot of fields. And so, this could really spread. This love could spread like wildfire, I was gonna say wildfire, but then I started saying wildflowers, which both equally spread a lot, and are beneficial in their own ways. And so it's interesting too, because I'm seeing this, I don't know if that's like a birdhouse or a bug house on top, and I just saw this image of it falling and hitting her on the head. And the way that I'm seeing this is, it's like this, it's almost like this, it's an idea, or someone's gonna say something, or someone has said something, or it's like you watching TV and like something happens on TV, or like a cartoon, like this is like cartoonish, where it just like stuns you, like it kind of takes you out of this, almost like a dragging energy. It feels like dragging, right? And it stuns you and you're like, what was I thinking? Like, of course, like it's like festered, like that anxiety festered and festered and festered and festered, causing this inaction. But then this thing hits you on the head and you're like, hold on, what was I going on about? Like, let me just open the door, whatever. Like, let's just see. Like, forget it. You know, it's like you just get this burst of energy, like inspired action, truly inspired action. And then you just open the door, and maybe there's like some fear or trepidation that's occurring, you know, in the back of your mind. And maybe you're like shaking a little bit after the door's already open. So it's like kind of too late, but not really. I mean, technically, I guess you could kind of turn back, but I think it's almost like the idea that I'm getting is like she opens it and she could very well close it, but then that anxiety, like, it's like when God works through these difficult circumstances in order to basically not let anything go to waste, no negative experience going to waste through the actions of other people's free will, right? It's not something that had to happen to you, but essentially he uses it for good. And that's what I see here, where that anxiety, you start twisting it onto yourself and saying, well, ooh, there's probably someone who saw me open the door. Now they're going to see me run through the door and close it again. And, you know, it's like you think that like all eyes are on you. And so you just don't close the door because it's too late, when technically it was not, but it is, because it was always meant to, you're meant to keep going forward. And it ends up being the best thing that's ever truly happened to you. Ever. So that's what I see. I hope it got across that this is a very, very beautiful message here. I'm actually going to link a song below, because there is this song that's coming to my mind, and I pray that this is delivered to whomever this was meant to receive this, and that it made sense to you. If I didn't, maybe I'm repeating myself now, but anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.